Savage Red Recovery here, back for another one of these cancer feminist articles. And I'm about to get into this doozy because when you start seeing the language in it, it's going to make you men feel the cancer setting in your body and just taking over. But before then, do me a favor and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell to get my notifications. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Share this with other men so they can see the bias. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is on The Guardian. Alright, this article is 3 months old, but the article is called "We All Benefit from a More Gender Equal Society, Even Men." Even men. So I'm not going to sit down and read the entire article. I'm going to leave the description. I'm going to leave the link in the description if you guys want to go read it. But like, just to give you a little bit, just to give you guys a little bit of a taste of like the key points of this article. International Women's Day on March 8th is like an annual progress report on women's rights after how far we have come. The findings of the UN Development Forum Gender Index published on Thursday provided a bleak answer. 90% of the population in 75 countries is biased against women. Meanwhile, men's rights activists living in a parallel universe they deem genocentric believe that the effort to enhance the rights of women has become toxic efforts to undermine the rights of men. That's not biased at all, because in no way, like here in America, are the laws, or in most Western countries, are the laws biased towards men in any way. Couldn't be. This kind of narrative has been around for more than 30 years, starting with fathers angry about custody rights. It is manipulated into a rabid men's rights it's mutated into a rapid men's rights movement for the men's supremacist characteristics. More recently, it entered the mainstream, overlapping with white supremacists, incels, and the far right, and embodied in the person of Jordan Peterson. Okay, so if you feel that men should have equal rights to the custody of their children, you are a white supremacist, a incel, and a far right. And Jordan Peterson is all of those things. Isn't an incel someone that doesn't have kids? Like, isn't an incel it's someone that doesn't get laid? So how is that in the same paragraph as like men's custody and men's rights? Like, that doesn't make any sense. They see rights as a zero-sum game, as if there existed only a limited pool of them, and if women get more than men, most inevitably will have fewer. Sorry, I have a speech impediment with my R's. It comes out sometimes. If women are now entering higher education in greater numbers than men, it must be because they've elbowed out men. The shift from manufacturing to service jobs isn't a macroeconomics and a transnational trend, but a plot by women, a war on masculinity. There's even an International Men's Day, and you thought there were already 365 of them. Okay, so let me get this straight. So the fact that men are crazy because women are going to college and getting higher degrees, that's just men being crazy. But 80% of all grants and scholarships go to women. The only ones that go to men are mainly for sports. That's not an advantage. That's not helping out women. Like, that's not helping out women. 80-20. Okay. And it's not okay for men to have an International Men's Day, because we have a Men's Day 365 days a year. So we have a Men's Day even on International Women's Day. Is Valentine's Day for men? Is Mother's Day for men? Okay, makes sense. Logic, sound. Great. What makes this even more dispiriting is that there there really is a lot of wrong with men's lives. The higher rates of male suicide, yet the cause isn't women's rights, but the very way that masculinity has constructed in profit-obsessed patriarchal culture, as feminism has been saying for a long time that patriarch damages not just women but also men. The idea that women's rights are gained at the expense of men is actually the opposite of the truth. There is now a stack of evidence that men benefit from living in a more gender equal society, and that promoting gender equality improves the quality of life of everyone, not just women. A recent WHO report comparing 41 unequal societies, the sexual division of labor harms men as well as women. When the sexes are more equal, men say they're more satisfied with life. In more gender equal societies, such as the Nordic countries, apparently both men and women sleep better. The latter and finding more recent European studies suggest that it isn't just because waking obligations and stress affects our sleep, but also because men in more equal societies take better care of themselves. Okay, so couple things here. The WHO came out with some bunk information about COVID, so I can't necessarily believe what they're saying on this study. Another thing, being more satisfied is not something that you can measure. That is literally like saying, I am satisfied with my insurance. I'm satisfied with my internet provider. I am satisfied with my phone plan. Like, just because I'm satisfied with something doesn't necessarily mean that it's better or worse or anything like that. That's just a bullshit narrative right there. And the fact of the matter is all these rights that women get have taken from men. And because of that, so men now have to compete with women in the workforce. So there's more labor, so the cost of wages goes down because there's more people. Those jobs that men could have got, women now have. And when it comes to alimony, when it comes to child support, when it comes to custody of our children, when it comes to losing our house, when it comes to giving up half our assets, all of the laws affect us one way. When it comes to being sentenced to prison, we get 6 times more time than the woman gets for the same crime. When it comes to going and serving in combat, when it comes to having to take more dangerous jobs to make higher money, like, a lot of the stuff negatively affects us because women have got more rights. It used to be back when women didn't work, you could live off of one income. But now, since women are in the workforce and men are competing for more jobs, the wages are lower and there's not as many jobs for men to be able to get, and we're not able to support a family the same way. Like, women marry up, men marry down. It's really hard for men to marry down if women only marry up and women are making as much money as most of us are making. Like, unless you want a bunch of beta males that are just a bunch of simps, like in the Norwegian countries, like, you know, countries that we, America, defend, countries that don't have armies. America has armies, and we send our men to protect those countries. So I guess it's pretty good. I guess it's pretty good for them, and they're satisfied. In more gender equal societies, men are half as likely to be depressed, less likely to commit suicide, have around 40% smaller risk of dying a violent death, and even suffer less from chronic back pain. Okay, and these countries have fewer psychosomatic complaints and are more likely to use contraceptives and sex. And one study found that men with feminist partners report greater sex satisfactions, as did women with partners who support feminism. That is a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie. I'm going to tell you right now, you do not want to date a feminist. If you're dating a feminist, she probably didn't have a dad. She probably hates men, and she's probably fucking crazy. And it has nothing to do with feminism, but I'm gonna tell you, broads that are crazy, way better sex, but they're crazy. And there's no such thing as a woman being less crazier than a four. Four's the start. Four is the start, man. Before we huddle into gender equality, sexual nirvana through, we need to factor in some other truths, like the fact that most men benefit from male privilege and are unlikely to relinquish it. There's no such thing as fucking male privilege when it comes to suicides, when it comes to custody, when it comes to combat deaths, when it comes to job deaths, when it comes to dying early, when it comes to education, when it comes to being homeless. When it comes to all of these factors, men are losing. Men are losing. Like, we have the privilege of being able to pee standing up and we can write our name in the snow, but that really doesn't do anything for you that well in life. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Women are a minority and they are 51% of the population. Men are actually a minority, but women get special privilege, victimhood, minority status. Like I already stated before, 80% of all scholarships and grants go to women. God, feminism is cancer. So this article is pretty long. I'm not going to get into the rest of this. So at the bottom it says, so how far from have we come? Well, today's public debate around gender fluidity and Me Too had astonished us back in the 1980s. Today's reality would have shocked us. The conviction rate of reported rapes plummeted from 24% in 1985 to 2% in 2018. Yet the reporting of rapes in this period soared from 1,842 to 67,000. Around the world's women's reproductive rights are under attack and being rolled back. I look at current attempts to seriously restrict abortion in Louisiana and weep. Perhaps we should all move to Iceland. As it happens, Iceland men have the highest life expectancy in Europe, and that's not just down to the cold air and okay, Iceland is a much smaller economy and social. Okay, so listen, being able to kill your kids is not a right. Okay, abortion is not a right. Killing a child is not a right. That is you taking a lack of responsibility and accountability. Okay, so in 1985 to 2018, did maybe the population increase? Okay, could there be any false rapes that are in that? Could they not being reported to the police? Because I've seen feminist articles that clearly state not to report to the police. Hey, maybe the reason that they're not being convicted is because the women don't have good cases. Just because a woman tells a cop that, hey, I got raped, if there's no evidence, if there's reasonable doubt, the man's going to get off. It doesn't mean anything one way or the other. And the Me Too movement was crucifying men. And I also know that on campuses, women can say a man raped her and they get expelled and they're guilty and not innocent. And they can't prove themselves innocent, even if the woman's lied. And I can show you multiple cases of that. This article is trash. This article is trash. I'm sorry, guys. Feminism is trash and it's cancer. Please, guys, like, don't believe this feminist bullshit. Like, this is the shit that they're telling women, and these are the women that they want you to date, men. And it's not gonna go well for you. It's just not. Leave them alone. If a woman supports abortion, get away from her. Like, get away from her. If she supports abortion, that means she's letting all sorts of dudes give her miles and miles of the wang 6 inches at a time. Tell me what you guys think about this article. Tell me if you're into feminism, if you agree or disagree. Do me a favor, like, share, and comment. I'll see you guys next time. I need to go lay down before I die of a brain tumor of this feminine cancer.